Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Flippin' Customized. And today we've got a little rough country suspension lift we're installing on a 2021 Nissan Frontier. We're going with a nice little 2.5-inch front and back. Now they do offer a 2.5-inch just front if you just want to level that front out and not keep that kind of factory rate going. If you are going to use the truck and you don't want it to look like that going down the road. So we're doing a 2.5-inch all the way around with some upgraded cam bolts as well, so you can get better alignment specifications out of this thing. So let me show you what we're working with, and we'll get started. All right, this is a 2021 Nissan Frontier, and yes, they hadn't changed or have not changed this body style in a very long time, because I had an 05 at one point along the way, and it looked pretty much just like this truck. But anyway, it's got a fairly level stance to it, a slight rake, so it will have a more aggressive rake when we're done. But however, he'll be able to load the back of this thing and not worry about it being sacked out, and have a little bit more ground clearance. And he wants to add a little bit bigger size tire and a few more accessories that we'll do down the road. So this is it, completely stock 2021 Nissan Frontier, and I'll go in and show you the kit. Here is the kit itself, and it's basically a couple of spacers that go on top of the strut, so not between the strut and sorry, there's a couple of choices. You can go with the bare aluminum, the anodized red, which is pretty sharp looking, which is what he chose to go with. So this won't affect ride quality as far as like compressing that coil to get height. No, this goes on top of the whole strut assembly. There is one more option. It's at a pretty significant cost, but it's a complete lifted strut that you just take this strut out. It's already lifted, it's taken into account, and you put theirs in. Pretty sweet. But this is more an aesthetics thing for him, just to get a little bit more ground clearance, a little bit more of an aggressive look to it. And in the back, he's got a couple of 2.5-inch, they're actually beefy as hell. I want to say it's 3/8 thick steel shackles and grade 8 hardware and sleeves. So that's pretty impressive, I must say. Pretty straightforward install. This does not come with the stock, with the shocks for the rear. It's not required. Could you upgrade them? Oh, absolutely. And he did choose to upgrade to the front cam adjusting bolts in the lower control arm. So these trucks used to have these in them. For some reason they don't anymore, and if it makes it a little easier to align it, and you have more ability to align it when you get these bolts right here. So not required. It doesn't come with the kit. This is an extra. He chose to do it because the truck is literally brand new. We'll be doing some bigger tires on a little later. So what we'll do is get this thing in the air. We'll start with the front, get the strut assemblies out. It basically is pretty straightforward. You take them out. This is not a direct how-to video by any means. These bolt to the top. You flip the strut in 180 from the opposite way you took it out. They go back into the truck. We torque everything down. We do the cam bolts in the front, then we move to the back. So let's get this thing up in the air. All right, guys, in a nutshell, how this basically goes is we're going to go ahead and loosen and remove the upper ball joint. We're going to go ahead and loosen the fasteners for the strut assembly itself. So it's the 3 on the outside, not the center bolt. Then we're going to drop the sway bar. We're going to disconnect your sway bar right here. The assembly will lower down. We'll take the lower bolt out of the strut assembly, remove that from the vehicle, and then mount that spacer to the top. And let me show you what I'm talking about with that. And that is this. Get this garbage off of here. That'll go up on the top and basically goes back into the same place. And the anodized red's pretty sweet looking. So that's how it is. We're gonna go ahead and get it out. Again, not a direct how-to, so this isn't, oh yeah, remove nut A, remove nut B. No. You've got to follow your directions. However, they did seem to go to all digital, but it comes with an image to scan. It brings you right to their website. So go ahead and do that and follow the directions specifically. But we'll go ahead and get this out and get the spacer on top. All right, one more thing to mention. Everything's disconnected here with the upper ball joint. the upper connectors, the sway bar link, the lower fastener. So we're ready to take the strut assembly right out of here. But make note of where it's at. So it's got the painted marks on the outside and basically the cuts of the coil on the outside. Because when you put this back in, it's going 180. It's going the other way. And the reason for that is so you can line the studs up on the spacer because they're all shifted over. It won't affect performance at all, but just make a note of that before you go ahead and take this out of there. All right, there it is. So basically right here, your strut assembly, the spacer goes right on top of there. You bolt it down with your factory hardware, torque everything down, and then the hardware they supply you, when you flip this thing around 180 and put it back in the truck, you're good to go. Everything gets put back together and onto the other side. All right, I'll bolt it on, and one thing I like to do, and it's probably a little anal, is I paint mark everything, all my fasteners when I torque them down, so there's no questioning what you tightened and what you did not. All right, strut assembly is back in. We left the sway bar link disconnected for now because we still got to do the other side. Typical rule of thumb, if you can, work one side at a time. If you have any questions, you can look at the other side. That's just me. Again, we marked all our fasteners on here once they're torqued down, and the spacer is in. Everything's back in. One thing, just a note, you may have to lower this down and use a jack to push this lower control arm up into your upper ball joint. Just as a tip, because now you've lowered everything down, and I don't think you can lift it. At least I couldn't, and I had to use a floor jack to bring it back up. But just a quick little note, we're gonna get the other side done. All right, now that the spacer lift's installed, we're gonna go ahead and swap out these lower control arm bolts. And what that does, just to show you, is if you look at the head of the bolt, it's just centered in a washer. So there's no adjustment there for caster camber. And the bolt that you buy in this kit, see how it's off center on the washer? It allows you to rotate this in or out to realign this vehicle when it's done and or get it to where it should be properly. It is not required, but I would recommend it. So we're gonna go ahead and just pop these out one for one. All right, I did forget to mention one thing, and that is, if you are doing the cam bolts on the lower control arms, do it before you put your upper control arm back together and there's tension on this lower control arm. So right now there's no tension, so it's easy to swap the bolts out. And when you are swapping them out, go ahead and throw some anti-seize on there so you can save the alignment guy a whole lot of hassle, you know, a couple of years down the road. All right, there it is, all tightened down. And now we have cam bolt adjustments. The lighting is not great there, but you can see the head of the bolt there. It's on an offset washer between two tabs, so they can go ahead and adjust this thing now. Time to move on to the back. And the back is a multi-piece shackle with a straight and an offset. Because if you look at the factory ones, they're the same way. These are way rugged. It comes with sleeves, insert sleeves for your leaf springs, grade 8 fasteners. And it basically goes like this. So if you're on the groundwork and you want to jack under the axle and lift the frame, so you can move the axle and the frame independently, because as soon as you pull the shackle out of this thing, this leaf spring's going to want to come bung down. So we'll go ahead and support it. I have something I can support it with. It's a little different, but then you take the fasteners out, the shackle, hopefully it can clear the spare tire, but it comes out this way. And then the other one's a multi-piece, so you put the sleeves in, and then you put the plates on, and you're done. All right, this is what you're looking at when your shackle is out of your truck. You can see the difference in material thickness. That's maybe 1/4 inch, and this is a good solid 3/8 of an inch plate, and you can see how it's longer. It's going to lift the back of the truck up, gain a little more ride height. But you can see the factory bolts here. They have a spacer built right on them, and Rough Country has you slide the spacer into the eye of the leaf spring, then the bolt into that sandwiches this all together. So I'm going to go ahead and grease these up and get them put in, and I'll show you. All right, there it is, guys. See how I supported the axle there? I actually used the jack stand, but you can do this thing with a regular jack, supporting the axle, and jack stand on the frame independent from the axle, so you can lift and lower this. You may have to pry it a little bit to get it to where you need it, but that's it right there in place, and it is quite a difference if you see compared to the stock. So we'll do this side next, and then we'll get this thing on the ground, see how it looks. All right, everything is torqued down, and again, in the bushing here, in the leaf spring eye itself, there's a metal sleeve that you put in there that comes with it before the bolt. And I'll go ahead and torque these all down, all marked up. Get this thing on the ground, and take it outside, see what it looks like. All right, guys, there it is. Just took it for a ride. It rides real nice, actually. Didn't affect ride quality at all because it didn't add extra compression to that spring. And the shackles in the rear just repositioned the rear axle down a little bit. And the front will settle out a little bit. The front's a touch bit higher than the rear right now, but it will settle out when he does the alignment because it needs an alignment right now. But overall, it's a good kit. I would, for the average guy that wants to do it, go for it. It could be a driveway install. Just make sure you have everything and review your instructions. It does definitely give the truck a better look. And next is some aggressive tires and a few accessories for it. So that's the end of the episode for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. And you got a few tips, pointers, or if anything, just drop a comment or a question. Tell me what you want to see next. We do a lot with the Rough Country product. And please subscribe. Help us grow, follow along, grow our channel. Flip and Customize. Thanks a lot, guys.